To commemorate gynecologists and their laborious and deadly work, we're going to take a look at some of the craziest, most bizarre pussies gynecologists have ever stuck their hands and fingers near. They're lucky to still be alive after encountering these pussies. But before we go forward with our weird-ass cats, let's take one huge step back to thousands and thousands of years ago. The weird-ass looking saber-toothed cat! Forget losing a hand! I've managed to dig up 2 killer saber-toothed cat films, and maybe I should have left them buried. Sabretooth from 2002. It's not bad. It accomplishes what it's supposed to do, provide trashy entertainment.
It could be right behind me, I wouldn't even know it!
Sometimes it's predictable and falls into cliches, or moments where you want to pull your hair out. Like this butt munch who cleans the windows while the cage to the saber-tooth is still open. Ugh, it's pretty dumb. But then it has some pretty spectacular moments. And it has a lot of those so bad it's great moments, like the knife fight. Yeah! Remember how this is in everyone's top 10 knife fights list? This guy doesn't even have any knife or combat skills, and he thinks he can take on a saber-tooth. I love it. And then there's a kung fu fighting Josh Holloway, best known for playing Sawyer on Lost. Whew. Well, everyone has to get his or her acting career started in something. The only thing I really can't stand is the evil scientist's lips. They're pulsatingly large and hideous. People find this stuff hot. It looks like female genitalia. That's where food is supposed to go. And speaking of genitalia, the other film, Attack of the Sabertooth from 2005, can deal with mine! It's awful! It's exactly a clone of Jurassic Park, right down to having an amusement park on a remote island. It just leaves a bad taste in your mouth, and looks as primitive as the extinct saber-tooth itself. What you're about to see is the stepping stone in special effects technology. Nothing short of poetry. Look at that technology! You can't make anything better than that! But you want to see another pussy with a huge mouth and large teeth? Let's step forward into the complex and elaborately disjointed cat's cradle, into the wonderful land of Wonderland, home of the Cheshire Cat. Originally from Lewis Carroll's novel Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, this is a weird-ass cat. Granted, everything in Wonderland is bucking bizarre and more or less has no rhyme or reason to it, but trying to figure out the Cheshire Cat is like going down another rabbit hole. He's heels over head nuts! His shape-shifting and disappearing acts are very unsettling. Everything seems to be a joke to him. That pink and purple scheme. Yuck. And he only helps Alice by providing more questions and illogical responses.
If you'd really like to know, he went that way.
Who did?
The white rabbit.
He did?
He did what?
Went that way.
Who did?
The white rabbit.
What rabbit?
At first he seems harmless, although a little imbalanced, but then you find out he's an insatiable little turd. Only Alice can see him, and he uses that to his advantage to be mischievous and picking on the Queen of Hearts, to the point where the Queen accuses Alice and one step ahead her. This guy's a butthole! And why? This is the most familiar version of the Cheshire Cat, the 1951 Disney animated film. But there are so many adaptations of Carroll's novel, it's insane. Some of the Cheshire Cats, believe it or not, are even weirder. The 1985 TV movie has the badass Telly Savalas, the same guy who was Kojak and Dr. Blofeld from the James Bond franchise, playing the Cheshire Cat. Oh boy. The 1999 version has Whoopi Goldberg, and it's so awkward and distracting, it takes you right out of the story. The less said, the better about this one. I think my favorite is the 2010 version. He appears in a malevolent and descending atmosphere. The eyes, ear, and tail twitch with his words as opposed to his hand gestures. And that voice clashes, yet goes so well with his appearance.
It needs to be purified by someone with evaporating skills, or it will fester and putrefy.
He's scary, but you want to hug him at the same time. And that grin, almost literally from ear to ear. All pussies have scary teeth, scary mouths, but what exactly is in that mouth that ignites fear in gynecologists? The FCC is always censoring it! It's fucking bull stuff! Well, the 1988 The Uninvited provides that answer. And here you go! A murderous monster lives in there! Here, this cat is at its gynecological appointment, and it looks like the parking garage of a shopping mall. But you can tell disaster will strike. As a retired veterinary technician, if you're going to give a cat a shot, that's not how you hold it. You got to be firm. So, as you'd expect, it escapes and goes on a killing spree. From what I observed, it's a normal cat. Like here, this guy gave it some milk. It loves it. But when you anger or frighten it, this thing comes out, leaving the cat behind like an empty hermit crab shell or something. I don't know. And the killings are pretty funny, where half of them, the cat doesn't even do anything. A lot of the times it only bites someone, and then the person ends up killing themselves, like falling in the water, or choking on contaminated food, or shooting a pipe full of steam. Okay. Or just driving off a cliff. Listen for the breaking glass sound effect. They recycle it over and over and over again. You think that's enough? The audio just sucks the life out of you in general. Oh god, I could make out with a dog with less noise than that. Oh yeah, and there's a kung fu fighting George Kennedy in tip-top shape. What's with all the kung fu fighting in these movies? And who wouldn't want to take a bite out of George Kennedy? He looks delicious. And this cat, have you ever looked at a pussy and wanted to lick it really bad? No? But that monster living inside the cat, it reminds me of something. Oh yeah, it's King Caesar! That's another weird-ass pussy. I mean, look at him. How can you not laugh? And it doesn't help the kind of crazy movie he's in. Space gorillas with bombastic jumpsuits disguising themselves as regular people plan to take over Earth. And when someone shoots them with a gun or they die, they revert to their ape forms. Oh no, he's going ape nuts! So, how do these space apes go about taking over the world? With a mechanical Godzilla, yeah! Who would have thought to do that? Yeah, that's where King Caesar comes in. They need another monster to save the day, so for the next hour, they just build up the hype on this monster. They talk about him so much. The prophecy he's supposed to fulfill. The apes trying to steal a statue of him. It beats you on the head with it. And after an hour of bull stuff, finally a mountain explodes, and there he is, sleeping away, while Mechagodzilla stumbles towards him, getting ready to F this pussy up! Come on! Wake up! Wake up! Oh wait, what's this? You have to sing to it to wake it up? What's stupid? Isn't that what you do to make things fall asleep? And she goes on for like 4 or 5 minutes. Just when you think it ends, she starts singing again. Come on! Finally, he wakes up to an explosion again, no less. And after all that hype, King Caesar, the monster everyone just loves to smile at, gets his face handed to him. It's almost funny that it happens that way, as if it was done on purpose. All that hype for nothing. However, I shouldn't completely rat on him. He does get in a few good licks. He fights like a dirty wrestler. But like I said, he gets creamed. Godzilla reappears strangely from behind a hill, and the two team up. I like how King Caesar doesn't just punch or kick him. He just rams his face into him. Multiple times! Ouch. Godzilla pretty much takes over the fight, where he exhibits this electrical attack that he never had before, and it magnetically attracts Mechagodzilla to him, and then he rips his head off! And then King Caesar just goes back to his mountain before he can say what just happened. He's so lazy. What a jerk! King Caesar would only make one more appearance in the Godzilla franchise in Godzilla Final Wars. And now he's a bad guy, but he's being controlled by aliens. It's a 1-on-3 Godzilla versus his former allies. And would you believe King Caesar is actually more of a puss? One of his attacks, he jumps off a wall. I'm not sure what that did. And then he plays soccer with a spiky dinosaur, and I think Godzilla's either the goalie or he's trying to jump away from it. It's really hard to tell. And then, when he's the last one standing, what does he do? Oh, it's pretty pathetic. But you want to see a pussy that's actually good at fighting? How about the cat named General from the 1993 Cantonese film, The Cat? What you are watching is cinematic history. This may be one of, if not, the greatest one-on-one battle of all time. This fight is so detailed, it's just hard to comment on. Like here, the dog gets electrocuted. What? And he's still alive! And the cat flips him over. But you see, I'd expect the dog to lose, because this is not a normal cat. It's a cat from outer space. But the dog is just a regular Earth dog. And the first time we see him, he rams his face through a wall! That's quite an introduction. And that's only the beginning. There's red blob creatures eating people with red blobbish tentacles. It can light people on fire. And then I think it uses the faces of its victims, which is terrifying. There are police officers going around shooting everyone and everything up, and they never die. They never die! There's a girl dancing in the air like it's nothing, and there's so many books. How can you read all of those books? For this being in the early 90s, the special effects look awesome. Every single action scene, as cliche as it is for me to say this, I was sitting on the edge of my seat. They almost feel episodic in nature, like these scenes are their own little movies. I loved every second of it. It's by far not a perfect film though. There are some dumb moments, like this guy getting turned on by this girl who is just a sweaty mess. It's disgusting. Have you ever heard of swamp ass? Come on. Well, aside from the swamp ass, this movie just kicks ass. General the Black Cat provides explosive entertainment. He may be the greatest cat of all time. He can fight like no other. His tail can come off, and he can put it back on at will. He's just chock full of endless surprises. If you can somehow find and get your hands on this film, you've got a real treasure. Only if it's just to watch the kung fu fighting between a dog and a cat. Way better than the fighting from the stinker The Corpse Grinders 2.
What's the bag? Oh, my arm!
Yes. It's awful! Catwoman from another planet comes to Earth to find a new food source for her cat people back home because their food supply has been stolen by dog-headed dinosaurs. However, there's one particular cat duo that could take on dog-headed dinosaurs, that could take on an alien Red Blob, that could take on a Mega Godzilla with no freaking problem whatsoever. Look to the skies, because next time in our gynecological marathon, they're coming in for a landing. The moon is full, the blood's flowing through my veins, I'm seeing red! It's that time of the month.